Hello and welcome back to Maths with Mr. Duffield. I am the aforementioned Mr. Duffield. I am looking at this worksheet that I did with my Ellie using a Teams meeting yesterday, and I've received word from a number of my class, a disturbing number of my class, that the quality of the picture in that meeting when I was trying to work through this question and one more wasn't very good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work through them here a little bit more clearly, and I'm going to try and figure out how to make the next meeting clearer. Thank you for your patience while I do that. So we were working and practicing on SOHCAHTOA trig. SOHCAHTOA to find missing side lengths and or angles. Now these questions are on side lengths specifically. Remember our method. We are labeling the triangle first. This length is the hypotenuse, this length is the opposite, and this length is the adjacent. If you have issues with understanding where those labels come from, I encourage you to double back in your notes and look that stuff up. So I've got 12 centimeter being my hypotenuse, and I've got x, my unknown, being the opposite. So I'll write out SOHCAHTOA. I've got the opposite, so I underline the O's. I've got the hypotenuse, so I underline the H's. Which one's underlined? Both. Sine. So I'm working with the sine in this question. So what does that mean? It means the sine of 30 degrees equals opposite over hypotenuse, OH, x over 12, times both sides by 12 to isolate the x. 12 times the sine of 30 equals x. And if you get out your calculator, you work out, assuming that your calculator is set to degrees, you've got to make sure that it is. Sine of 30 is actually 0.5. So 12 times 0.5 gives me my x value of 6 centimeters. So far, so good. It's very straightforward, that kind of question, isn't it? You just identify which two side lengths you have, which of the three trig functions you're going to use, in this case sine, and because my unknown is on the top half of this fraction, it's just a case of timesing both sides by the denominator, and you've got your side length. It's not like that all the time. That's what I was trying to say yesterday. And that's why I was talking about question 7 as well. In terms of the steps, exactly the same. Gonna label all the side lengths. This one, that's the hypotenuse. This one over here, that's the opposite. This one over here, this is the adjacent. So I've got my 22 centimeters is the opposite, and the side that I'm looking for is the adjacent. So let's write out SOHCAHTOA again. I've got the adjacent, so I'm going to underline the A's. I've got the opposite, so I'm going to underline the O's. Which one have I underlined twice? TOA, tan. So what does that mean? The tan of 18 degrees equals OA, O over A, opposite over adjacent. Something tricky has occurred because the unknown, the thing I'm looking for, isn't on the top half of the fraction anymore. It's on the bottom. At least one member of this class is consistently making the mistake of just thinking, oh, that's fine, I'll just times both sides by 22 anyway. No. Doesn't work. Because the 22 is on the numerator, it can't work like that. There are two ways to deal with a question of this form. I'm going to show you both of them, and you can make your own decision as to which one you want to use. So, my first method is to multiply both sides by x first. That will eliminate the denominator of the right-hand side of this fraction, leaving just 22. And then x times tan of 18 is what is on the left-hand side. Okay? Now, assuming that we understand that the tan of 18 is just a number. It's a weird decimal placey number, but it is a number nonetheless. Well, then what's next is quite straightforward. We just divide both sides by the tan of 18. Okay? That eliminates that multiply and leaves x on the left, and then it's 22 over tan of 18 on the right. If you get out your calculator and you type that in, that fraction, 22 over tan of 18, and you don't make any mistakes with inputting your values, you get 67.7 centimeters. That's rounded to 3 significant figures, of course. So that is one method of finding the right answer. And here's the other method. Okay, I'm trying my best to lay this out in exactly the same way as I did yesterday. I don't really want there to be any confusion, and you won't have missed anything if you weren't able to see what was on the screen. I guarantee I'm going to figure out a way to make that better for next time. So, if I consider tan 18 as being a fraction, tan 18 I can consider that as tan 18 over 1. Okay? And there's a reason that I'm considering it like that. I'm not just putting that out of the blue. Effectively, if I flip the fraction of 22 over x, that's called finding the reciprocal, by way of a reminder. Yeah, replacing the denominator with the numerator and the numerator with the denominator. Okay, swapping them around. That will obviously make x over 22, which is useful in this context because suddenly my unknown is now on the top, so I can times both sides by 22 after this. But the other side of the equation here needs to have the same thing done. I need to flip the fraction on the other side of the equation to keep things equal. So 1 goes to the numerator, tan 18 goes to the denominator. 1 over tan of 18 is what the left-hand side has to become in order to be equal to what's on the right-hand side. Now, just as I said earlier, the unknown is on the top half now, so I can now times both sides by 22. Cancels out that bottom half and leaves me with x there, and then 22 lots of 1 over tan 18 is 22 over tan 18. That is 22 times bigger than that. I hope that makes sense. Now you might notice these stages here are the same. I've got the same fraction using 2 slightly different methods. And indeed we get to the same answer therefore, 67.7 centimeters. All right. Yeah, there's individuals for whom I would say watching this is necessary. I will tag you on Teams. Please make sure that you get it right when the unknown is on the bottom half of the fraction. Okay? You can use either one of those 2 methods. Both of them work. It's up to you. I will leave that in your capable hands. Remember, stay positive, stay hygienic, and for the love of goodness, get your work submitted on Teams. I will talk to you very soon.